America is known for its freedom of speech and tolerance of debate. Yet, there was an interlude in the mid-20th century in which political nonconformity was not tolerated and debate was squelched. Spurred by Senator Joseph McCarthy, the U.S. government took extreme steps to target and expel those suspected of being communists. This suppression of debate ended rocket scientist Qian Shui-Qian's brilliant career in the United States, and in doing so, altered the course of history. This is a cautionary tale of grave and perhaps unpredictable consequences of suppressing political debate. On October 8, 1956, the People's Republic of China opened its first rocket institute. In the decades that followed, China expanded its missile program, culminating in the 2003 launch of Shenzhou 5, making China the third country to send humans into space. Today, China is one of the 5 official nuclear weapons states. Qian Shui-Shen is regarded as the father of Chinese rocketry, but he was once one of the United States' most promising rocket scientists. How did a scientist at the top of his field at Caltech and founder of the United States Jet Propulsion Laboratory become the father of Chinese rocketry? As we will see, instead of protecting the United States from the perceived threat of communism, the Red Scare's repression of political debate led to the deportation of Qian to Red China, ironically arming our adversaries with what we feared most, the very means to launch atomic weapons. Qian Shui-Shen was born in 1911 in Hangzhou, China, into a scholarly family of royal lineage. A quiet but brilliant student, Qian excelled at the most prestigious schools, graduating from high school in 1929. In 1934, Qian received the prestigious U.S.-funded Boxer Rebellion Scholarship, which provided for 3 years of study in the United States. Qian attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and then Caltech. Qian joined a group of 4 classmates who experimented with small motor rockets. Nicknamed the Suicide Squad, this group was the informal beginnings of an operation that would later become the United States' major rocket development facility, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. While Qian was making a name for himself at Caltech, Mao Zedong was consolidating his power over the Communist Party in China. In the U.S., Qian's career flourished. He became a professor of aeronautics at both Caltech and MIT, received top security clearance as a Pentagon consultant, and was recognized as one of the world's leading jet propulsion experts. In 1949, Qian applied for citizenship and started a family. The same year, Qian was offered the directorship of jet propulsion research at Princeton and Caltech. He chose Caltech and returned to Pasadena, though due to restrictive covenants in house deeds against non-whites, he was unable to purchase a home. Qian's fame spread. He became known for his daring prediction, publicized in Popular Mechanics magazine, that there would be men on the moon within 30 years. While Qian's career was thriving, an ominous political movement was afoot in America, one that would change the course of his life. A sweeping witch hunt, the Red Scare, led by Senator Joseph McCarthy, fanned American fears of foreign communist infiltration. McCarthyism destroyed the careers of many accused of being communist subversives. To speak out with different social or political points of view was to risk condemnation as a communist, so many gave in to a stifling conformity. Public debate was suppressed. With China now communist, when the Korean War broke out in 1950, the FBI began to investigate the Chinese community, focusing on Chinese scientists with access to sensitive information. On June 6, FBI agents approached Qian for questioning. They believed that he had attended communist meetings at the home of a Caltech colleague, Dr. Sidney Weinbaum, whom the FBI suspected of being a communist. Qian denied that he and Weinbaum were communists, explaining that he had attended social gatherings at Weinbaum's home, not communist meetings. Despite this, the government peremptorily revoked Qian's security clearance. For over 10 years, Qian had been a trusted and valued asset to his adopted country. Now, without security clearance, unable to work, he deeply resented the sudden suspicion that had been thrust upon him. Within weeks, an angry Qian began preparing to leave for China. Government agents commandeered his luggage. Under McCarthyism, such seizure was not out of the ordinary. They found what they considered to be confidential documents. Qian was banned from leaving the country and arrested pending a hearing.
He was supposedly going to take a case of documents back with him to China, and this case of documents was somehow the source of some of the allegations that were made against him. And there was nothing in those documents, according to Caltech, that was in any way sensitive.
Meanwhile, Sidney Weinbaum was stripped of his security clearance and convicted of perjury. Some brave Americans, including the prominent scientist Linus Pauling, came to the defense of both Weinbaum and Qian. At Qian's hearing, the evidence consisted largely of a testimony regarding a list of suspected communists that had Qian's name on it. However, the alleged list was never produced. Even Qian's first accuser, a guest at Sidney Weinbaum's parties, and a suspect himself, later admitted that the government had pressured him to name names, specifically to accuse Qian. Despite the lack of solid evidence at his hearings, Qian was held under house arrest for 5 years, unable to work because he was not trusted, and unable to leave because he knew too much about the American weapons system. Finally, in 1955, Qian and his family were returned to China in exchange for 11 American prisoners of the Korean War, as a result of the Wang-Johnson talks. Almost immediately upon his return to China, Qian began working for the Chinese government. Within 11 years, China had developed the capability to launch nuclear warheads. Did the U.S. government make an error in deporting Qian? This is controversial. According to Dan A. Kimball, the Undersecretary of the Navy at the time, it was the stupidest thing this country ever did. He was no more a communist than I was, and we forced him to go.
He was essentially a present to the Chinese government from Senator Joseph McCarthy, the Republican from Wisconsin, who was the leader of the anti-communist fear-mongering in the early 1950s. His life in the United States became essentially unbearable because he was suspected of leaking secrets and technological information to the communist government.
On the other hand, perhaps Qian himself bore some of the blame for leaving.
Unfortunately, Qian made his decision really quickly once he was accused that he was going to have nothing more to do with Caltech or the United States and that he was going to return. So he seems to be the one who shut off any opportunity of staying.
But was Qian a communist?
It's highly unlikely that he was a communist in the United States. On the other hand, when he returned to the mainland, he did embrace the Chinese Communist Party pretty wholeheartedly.
Perhaps Qian was a communist working for the Chinese, though if he wasn't, the McCarthy movement may well have forced Qian to become the very communist asset it accused him of being. But this much is clear. McCarthy's quest, stifling debate and repressing Americans into political conformity, resulted in the alienation and deportation of Qian. Joseph McCarthy thus gave Red China its father of rocketry.